Hey everybody, welcome back. Or if this is your first time here, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for choosing to join us tonight. This is our actually our missing person Monday live stream for the week, but it's a day late this week on Tuesday. I was watching the ball game last night, to be honest, in all transparency. The Niners were playing last night, so me and Mom watched the ball game. The Niners ended up winning, which the Niners are Mom's team, which I like them too, but the Bears are my team. So it was a good football week for our house. The Bears won, the Niners won. Echoes is a Cowboys fan. The Cowboys won. The Chiefs won. Finally, anyway, so it was a good football week for the family. So, or a good football weekend, I should say. And not so much in college. Of course, the Razorbacks lost again, but what else is new? So I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope everybody had a good Monday, a good Tuesday. So let's see who is here. And I apologize, no camera tonight, but I've been all stuffed up and scratchy and coughing. And I don't know, if the weather will not make up its mind what it's going to do here in Arkansas. So, today was up in the almost 70s. Tomorrow it's going to be back down to the 50s and the 40s for highs. So I think that's what keeps everybody sick with the stuffed up sinuses and the coughing and everything else. But anyway, let me see who is here. Miss Lisa Joe checked in earlier. She says she will be back in a bit. Mustang is here. Hello, friend. How are you? Miss Avery is here. Good to see you. Miss Paula is here. Hello, Miss Paula. Chris is here. Good to see you, sir. Butterfly Kisses is here. Welcome. Boston Christian is here. Good to see you. Mustang says the colored names are back. Yeah, I don't know. Are you talking about like for members and people who have wrenches and hold on. Whole bunch of comments just popped up. Let me there we go. Back down to where I was. Yeah, I don't know what's going on but the names are still wonky. I don't know. I mean, it's got basically the same names, but like if your handle has like numbers at the end of it, it's showing those instead of just like, usually like Chris's, for example, you used to say Chris or whatever he has, and then Boston Christian, but it has the numbers behind it. It's usually not like that. I don't understand what. I don't know. I don't know if it's on the. I guess it's on the YouTube side too, because I've noticed when I've been in other people's chats, the names are different too. So who knows? Probably a YouTube thing. Uh, there's Miss Doodle. How you doing, ma'am? I hope you are doing well. And Doodle's already got links in. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Mustang said she shared it on Discord and YouTube. Thank you so much. Let me see. Yeah. Uh-huh. I know it's not your first time. Oh, Miss Doodle's already added. Are you still fired up, Miss Doodle? I hope so. I hope you're fired up. And for anybody who didn't see the live stream she did, well, she did two actually on the same case, 2 days in a row. Please do go watch it. The case from Canada. Miss Doodle was fired. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Did the Patriots win? Miss Paula will be happy. And any other Patriots fans we have here. Let's see. Mustang says she's had the same weather in her part of Arkansas. Yeah, and it rained here basically all day yesterday because I'm in central Arkansas. Rained here all day yesterday and most of the night, and then it finally quit, I guess, sometime during the night or early morning after I went to sleep. But so I went out to work for a few hours, but it was chilly and just still damp and cloudy, and it was just. I just want to, in this kind of weather, I just want to just be home in bed watching TV or, watching TV, watching YouTube, playing games on my tablet. I swear I'm such an old person now. I sit and play games on my tablet or my phone more than I do anything if I'm not watching YouTube videos. And I never understood because I did 10 years of home health caregiving. So, of course, I worked with older people. And they would sit for hours and hours and hours at a time and just play solitaire or play whatever game that they like to play on their tablet or whatever. And I always thought to myself, how could they just sit there for hours and hours and do nothing but play a game? Well, I'm there. That's all I want to do anymore. And it's only been like not even 2 years since I quit doing caregiving. But anyway, that's my sad old person story for the night. I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Farr is here. It says she has been a member for 13 months. We love Miss Farr. Miss Farr is a wonderful human being. So we get to put a cow in the pasture. If I can find it, the cow's always hiding from me. Thank you so much, Miss Farr, for continuing to be a member. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you so much, Mustang. Sent a $5 super chat, super sticker. Thank you so much, ma'am. That is so very kind of you. So we get to put another cow in the pasture. Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. Once again, everything and any money that I make on here being monetized goes right back into the channel. So you're helping us stay on here, helping us stay on and be able to do what we do here, sharing these missing persons and these cold cases. And I just lost my place again. the very important stuff that we do here. Like I said, sharing missing persons, cold cases, unsolved homicides, unidentified Jane Does, John Does, all very important. Yes, absolutely. A big thank you to Mustang. Thank you. Miss Avery says she's going to share on X. The Patriots have 10 straight wins. Excellent. Telling you, my Bears are doing good. My Bears are number one in the NFC North division. I mean, that's not happened probably since definitely not since the 85 Bears, the Super Bowl Bears, and then maybe into the early 90s. I don't know, but yeah, they got a new coach. The quarterback Caleb Williams is doing a lot better. So hopefully we can keep it going. I just don't know what's wrong with the Chiefs this year. The Chiefs just aren't they aren't what they usually are. They managed to pull out a win Sunday, so this thing says, yeah, that you had rain in your area and you're part of Arkansas too. Yep. Hey, Dandelion, it's good to see you, dear. Avery says she plays solitaire. I know, that's all I want to do. And y'all, I've downloaded, I think it was last night, I downloaded it's Happy Color. It's basically an online version of like the adult coloring books. But it's kind of like you pick a number and then you hit all the places that have the number and it puts the color in. And you would think it would be easier than it is, but I mean, some of the places where you got to put the colors in are very, very tiny, especially when you're doing it on a phone. But I've got addicted to it. I don't know how many pages I've done since I downloaded it last night, because I stayed up half the night playing it, and then work was slow again today as usual. So I spent most of the 4 or 5 hours that I was out today playing on my phone. But yeah, I can just sit and play games just all day long if I didn't have to leave the house. Oh. Avery says, when are they going to let us edit our comments on here? I don't know. Yeah, because I think the only thing you can do on YouTube is you can delete your message, but you can't edit that I'm aware of. I don't know. That would be a good thing, though. Oh, Lisa, she says she had to check. She's been a member for 18 months. Thank you, Miss Lisa Joe, and welcome back. Miss Lisa Joe made it back. Yeah, where does the time go? I know. There's Miss PJ. She says, good evening, troublemakers. How you doing, Miss PJ? Good to see you. We'll get caught up and we will get started. Avery says, does anyone want a free kid? He's yelling at Xbox Live. I'll pay child support. So he's yelling at the TV. I can't say anything. Talking about football, I yell at the TV when I'm watching football, so I can't say anything about kids screaming. This just says those Pokemon ain't gonna catch themselves. Goodness. Yep, thank you very much, Miss PJ. Says do all the things. PJ says she likes her messed up comments. It makes it interesting. It's good to see everybody here tonight. Welcome. All right, I'm caught up, so we will get started. Once again, like I said, this is our Missing Person Monday for the week, a day late on Tuesday. And tonight we're going to be talking about I think I have 6 missing persons cases from Denver, Colorado. So we went through the 50 states, just for anybody new here. We went through all the 50 states and just featured people from from each state. So now we're going back through and featuring people once again from each state, but from a particular city. And I chose Denver because it's one of the bigger cities in Colorado. And when I was looking on the Charlie Project for cases that I wanted to put together, Denver came up a lot. So hence we are doing Denver tonight. Let me make sure I got all my articles up and that they're loading properly. All right, so first we have Nonnie Dotson. Come on, there we go. So Nonnie has been missing since November 19th, 2006 from Denver. She is a white female. She was 33 years old at the time she went missing. She would be 52 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 5'3" tall, 115 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. She does have a large scar extending from the top of her right shoulder to under her armpit, and a large scar from a car accident on her left knee. And she was last known to be wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, a white t-shirt, and black jeans. So Nonnie actually lived in San Antonio, Texas in 2006. She worked as a nurse in the intensive care unit at Wilford Hall Medical Center on Lackland Air Force Base. She was a first lieutenant in the Air Force, and she had only 3 months left to serve when she went missing. She was visiting her brother in Denver on November 19th, 2006, when she disappeared. She was last seen at around noon when she left her brother's home in the 9500 block of West Unser Avenue. Apparently, she was going to go to a nearby shopping center, either to, I think, to just visit with some friends before she went back to Texas. And on this next part, it says she had a vehicle. Now, in some articles I read, it said that she had a vehicle, but she decided to walk. Some articles said that she did not have a vehicle while she was at her brother's house, so that's why she walked. So I don't know which is true, but at any rate, she decided to walk to the shopping center. It was only a short distance away. She has never been heard from again. Her cell phone was last used in the area of C470 and South Kipling Parkway in Denver, and tracker dogs did trace her scent to that particular area. The night before she went missing, Nonnie went to the Grizzly Rose Country and Western Dance Club. Let's say it was a popular Denver establishment. 2 men at the club were allegedly seen hassling or harassing her while she was there. They wanted to take her out to breakfast. She refused to go, and she actually ended up asking another patron to help her get away from the men, to get out of the bar so she could leave. So authorities do not know whether either of these 2 men that were allegedly seen giving her a hard time were involved in her disappearance, because she did make it home safe from the club. And she apparently, when she got home from the club, she did not mention to anyone being of any kind of incidents or being afraid of anyone at the club or anything that had happened at the club. Her ex-boyfriend, Edward Allen Vale, who is the father of her child, hired an attorney and initially refused to cooperate with the investigation. Nonnie's brother stated that she had a rocky relationship with Edward. He filed a paternity suit after their child was born, but DNA tests proved that he was the baby's father, and he was ordered to pay child support. So Edward, the ex-boyfriend, did finally meet with authorities in December of 2006. No, I don't want to do an update. Hold on. My computer's trying to update here. So he met with authorities in December 2006 and did provide an alibi for himself. He did have receipts to support his claim that he was in Texas when Nonnie disappeared and had nothing to do with the case or her disappearance. So Nonnie was due to report back to duty with the Air Force 3 days after her disappearance, but of course she never did. She left her baby daughter behind, which her loved ones say is uncharacteristic of her. Her parents cared for the girl for over a year after her disappearance, and they did want to keep her. But ultimately, Edward, the ex-boyfriend, the father of the child, was given custody in January of 2008. So authorities said that Nonnie did have a stable life in 2006, and it would be unlikely that she left of her own accord. She is originally from Colorado and reportedly planned to return there to live after she was released from the Air Force service. She didn't use any kind of illegal substances. She didn't. Says she drank only socially, but she was involved in online dating. We all know how dangerous that can be. So there's been no activity on her cell phone, bank accounts, or credit cards since she went missing, and little evidence is available in her case, which remains unsolved. So if you have any information, you can contact the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office at 303-271-5612. And I do have a couple, now a lot of these cases, I say a lot, probably about half of them, I was not able to find a whole lot of extra information as far as online articles, from law enforcement, family, any updates. But now on this case, on Nonnie's case, I was actually able to find 2 articles. One of them, the first one, I might not read all of it, but as always, the links to all the articles I use are in the description box. But it's from a site called crimelibrary.org. And it's like 10 pages, but I mean, the pages aren't very long. So we might go into some of it since we don't have a lot of other information on some of the other ones. And then I have another article, I believe, short article with statements from her family. But before we get into reading this, and I probably will read some and then take a break and read comments, but let me get caught up in comments right quick before we get into this article, because I do want to read. I'm probably not going to read all of it, but there is some just little tidbits of information in it here and there that kind of elaborates or maybe wasn't included in the Charlie Project information. Miss Paula said, yep, Stranger Things season 5 starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night. I know you're excited about that. I know I saw some new, or not new names, but some people that have popped in. Dandy says there's so many mines, wells, and cliffs to hide people where they're never going to be found in Colorado. See, that's what I was thinking, because I know parts of Colorado are mountainous and some rough terrains. So, but Dandy also says there's mines and wells as well. Let's see. Who are you talking about? Mustang's asking Avery, was she found alive? Who are we talking about? Did I miss something? Oh, okay. So Avery said, have any of you kept up with the Rebecca Parks case? They found her tonight. I've heard or read about it on Facebook, but I did see that she was found deceased, if I'm thinking about the same one. And she had or did have a baby, but we're not going to go into it. But horrible. If that's the same one I'm thinking about, yeah. Horrible circumstances. Yeah. Okay. So Chris says, no, she was not found alive. Yeah. I said, I just read just what came up in my Facebook feed earlier. Yeah. Avery says they have not found her baby yet. She was 39 weeks pregnant. That is horrible. Hey, Black Knight, good to see you, sir. Welcome, my friend. Always good to have you here. Um, Avery says it's mighty convenient she disappeared right after a custody battle. Yeah, there always seems to be a custody battle in a lot of these cases when the people go missing. There's either a custody battle, a divorce, or both. Don't know if it has anything to do with it, but it's like it's a pattern. We look for patterns, right? In cases. But yeah, you are correct. As Paula asked, any of the guys who were harassing her, are they considered suspects? I'm assuming that I mean, I don't know if because witnesses at the bar were the ones that said that the I think it was two or three guys were seen harassing her, asking her to go out for breakfast. She said no. And she asked, according to these witnesses, asked another patron of the bar to help her get out of the bar, maybe walk her to her car because these guys were giving her a hard time. But I'm going to hope that if they were able to identify these guys and know who they were, that the police would have talked to them. It did say that they do not know if the guys are connected. I mean, I'm not a professional, but I wouldn't rule them out. Um, but that's not to say that just because may have some drinks at a bar and then start harassing a woman doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna, go and take it, too far and do something nefarious. But it doesn't mean that you won't either. You never know. You never know. Yep, exactly. Yep. So Avery must be Googling, researching. Says so. At first, her baby daddy refused to cooperate with police when she disappeared, and then he obtained a criminal attorney. Also, he was ordered to pay her a ton of back child support. Yeah, that's one of the things that this article that I'm gonna read some from, it does mention that. And there's also some and I don't know if it's in the longer article from criminallibrary.org or the other article with interviews with the family, but something very I was going to say interesting, not in a good way, about her brother. Um, yeah, Avery says police verified that the Edward, the ex boyfriend, was not in Colorado at the time of her disappearance, but still, yeah, they said he had receipts, but I mean, um, he definitely did not want to be in the child's life. Yeah, because right off the bat, or not right off the bat, but I think not too long after the baby was born, it said he did ask for a paternity test because he didn't believe that the little girl was his. But as who was it, Maury Povich or Jerry Springer said, you are the father. He was the father, or he is the father. Um, oh, Miss Avery says she's reading all this on Nancy Grace's cold case site. That is it like the 10-page article? Because the article I have, I think they got some of it from a Nancy Grace article. It might be the same one. Uh, yeah. Paula says, "How do you pay someone who is missing?" That is true, which could lead to, once again, I'm not saying that the ex-boyfriend, like I said, he had apparently produced enough actual receipts and proof that he was in Texas when this happened. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to me that he owed all, he was ordered to pay. He didn't want to pay, he said this article that I'm going to read from says that he, from the get go, he didn't want to have anything to do with the baby. He wasn't interested. And then he, of course, once again, he did not, he did wanted her to take the paternity test, and didn't want to pay child support. But then they went to court, and he was ordered to pay all this back child support. So, and he probably didn't have anything to do with it, but at the very least, he was I can't. I was going to say something, but I'll probably get banned on YouTube. He is not a very good father. Hey, Miss Louise, good to see you, ma'am. Welcome, welcome. Ivy says, "Can't wait to hear about her brother." Oh yeah, it's just a bit shocking when I read it. Because there was the brother, I believe, that she was visiting in Texas and staying with in Texas. Hey, Patriotism, good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, oh man, that was I watched that game. Miss Louise says, "Go Cowboys!" Yes, that was. Of course, we only have down here with limited whatever games they choose to show down here, and of course, being in Arkansas, they're always going to show the Cowboys game here. But that was a dang good game. The Cowboys, they scared me there for a minute. They came back. They were 3 touchdowns down for most of the game. It was like 21-0. They came back and tied it up and won on a last minute field goal. Echoes was happy. He was very happy. He was texting me as soon as it was over with. Yes, Tony. Yep, that is the brother in question. Oh, Miss Avery's a Cowboys fan too. All right, I'm caught up. So let me get to this article. So, like I said, I'm not going to read all of it, but once again, it is linked in the description box, so you can read all of it if you wish to. So, once again, it's from crimelibrary.org, the troubling disappearance of Air Force nurse Nonnie Dotson. Nonnie Dotson, 33, was reported missing on November 19th, 2006, just 3 days after arriving in Littleton, Colorado, from her home in San Antonio, Texas. According to her brother, Tony Dotson, she had spent the previous evening out with friends at the Grizzly Rose Saloon and Dance Emporium. Those that Southwest dance, can't think of what I want to say. Country Western dance place. It said that she had stayed there until midnight before returning to his home. So she spent the following morning surfing the internet, and in the afternoon, she told Tony that she was going to the Jefferson Village Shopping Center, which was just a few minutes away from the home, to catch up with some old friends. She left her 16-month-old toddler, Savannah, with Tony, and she walked out the door at around 2 p.m., and that was the last time that anyone saw her. So she did not make it the short walk. They said she did not make it to the shopping center to meet with her friends. So somewhere between when she left her brother's house and wherever the shopping center was, something happened. So on November 24th of 2006, CNN, Nancy Grace interviewed Jefferson County Sheriff's Department media spokesperson Jim Shires about Nonnie's disappearance. Shires discussed the search for Nonnie's cell phone, which had been missing, which police had been able to trace to a field by C-470 and South Kipling Parkway. The field is located not far from Nonnie's brother's house and is on the way to the shopping center where she was supposed to meet her friends. So Shires said, we tried 3 or 4 times to triangulate where that cell phone was, and we came up to the same location each time we did. That field, that area where that phone was supposedly located at and had not moved for 3 days until we believe the battery went dead, has been walked by our canine units, many of our employees here, investigators, and sheriff's deputies. So the phone was found out in the middle of a field. So to me, that's definitely red flaggy. Sorry, it's hot in here again. I'm fogging up my glasses trying to read here. I mean, and I don't know if she would have cut across that field as a shortcut to the shopping center, maybe dropped her phone, or was she running from somebody and she dropped the phone? Did somebody pick her up? Did she get a ride with somebody and something nefarious happened and the phone got thrown into the field? I mean, just any number of possibilities. So the following day, Shires told Crime Library that investigators had been able to pinpoint the last signal from the cell phone to a 30-foot area within the 3 to 4 acre field. And when asked how he thought the phone might have ended up there, Shires said the initial assumption was that it might have been thrown there. So police think, at least at that time, whenever this was, what did I say, this was from 2006, that maybe it was thrown there. Something nefarious could have happened. In an interview with the Denver Post, Nonnie's brother, Bo Dotson, said that he did not understand how his sister could have just disappeared without a trace. He says, I don't see how someone can disappear in the middle of the day going to the store. Someone has to know something. Absolutely. Dotson also did not believe that his sister vanished voluntarily, especially without taking her daughter with her. He says she adored her daughter. She meant everything to her. She would never leave her behind. And I agree with that. I mean, we know that there are some parents out there that frankly just shouldn't have been parents, but for the most part, no parent is going to willingly leave their child behind. So one of the websites that Nonnie visited on the day of her disappearance was singleparentmeet.com, which is a person's website where she posted. So I'm not going to go through this whole next page is just things that she posted online on these dating sites. Once again, you can go back and if you read it. Nothing really anything outstanding, because I did read through all of it. Nothing really outstanding about anything that she said. The typical, I mean, I don't do dating websites, so I don't know, but I mean, just typical information that I would assume you would put on a dating website. So we'll skip to, but I think it is important to know that she did do online dating. I mean, once again, online dating can be good, I guess. I said I've never done it, but it can also be just like with any online meeting anybody online anywhere, does have its dangers, obviously. They say it remains unclear whether her internet activities had any relation to her disappearance. Many of Nonnie's friends from MySpace, man, MySpace was a long time ago, says that would be out of character for Nonnie to disappear of her own free will. Below are just 3 of the responses that Crime Library has received from her friends. So someone wrote, I'm a good friend of Nonnie's and one of her regular dance partners here in the San Antonio area. I've always enjoyed dancing with her and making her smile and laugh. I know she would not have left her daughter for any reason if she was going to disappear intentionally. Her daughter is the center of her life and meant the world to her. She was fighting tooth and nail for full custody and the child support due to her from her baby's father, and was putting up with and dealing with the stress of the regular court appearances as well as could be expected from anyone. She would not even go out most nights past 10 p.m. without calling and checking up on her daughter at least once, and hardly ever stayed out past 10:30. So another person responded, I'm an RN that works with Nonnie. I will tell you that Lieutenant Dotson is a very loving and dedicated mother. Her baby has always been her first priority. Although she was not enamored with the military way of life, she only had a few months to go in her service commitment. I think any talk of her disappearance being related to her military commitment is ridiculous. So I guess maybe there were some statements made from somebody that maybe she would went missing, did go missing voluntarily to, what was it, AWOL, go AWOL, not report back. She goes on to say, he or she says, I, like many of her friends here, am very worried. We hope and pray for her safe return every day. Any help or information is greatly appreciated. Another one wrote, Nonnie and I work together in the intensive care unit. She told me she was having a very nasty custody battle over her daughter, Savannah, but that she had won the case and her ex wasn't taking advantage of the supervised visitation. I don't know any details, just that she was frightened of Savannah being alone with her ex. She didn't tell me why. Okay, so I'm going to take a break for just a minute and check your comments. I made it through, I already made it through 4 pages, which I skipped that one page because it was just the dating thing. Yep. Mustang says the Cowboys and Chiefs are usually the choices in Arkansas. Absolutely, yeah. Which I don't mind the Chiefs because, like I said, the Chiefs are probably my second favorite NFL team behind the Bears. But I know patriotism says I was looking for you last night. Yeah, I do. Selfishly, I pushed it back to tonight. Like I said earlier, the 49ers are playing last night, which is my mom's team, and she was off work today, so she didn't have to go to bed early. So I just moved it to tonight so we could watch the ball game together last night. So, but we are here. We are here. Just getting caught up. Noni's cell phone was found in the field, I believe. Let me go back. I gotta try to remember which page I was on. Maybe it was the first page. Yeah, it was her cell phone that was found in the field. It was hers. Which cases? Chris says Littleton, Colorado has 2 cases that baffles me. Let me know which ones they are. Avery says definitely foul play. Okay. Hey Miranda, good to see you, my dear. Well, there she is. Oh, there she is. Hey Miranda, good to see you. Oh, it's always good to see Miranda. I saw Miranda. I hadn't seen Miranda in a while, but I saw her Saturday night in Dave's chat, Alan the Prowse chat. Chris says the Chiefs are the least favorite team, his least favorite team in the history of professional football. Hey now, come on. Yeah, I know. I saw that. The Chiefs are playing the Cowboys Thursday, the Thanksgiving game. I don't know, Miranda. We were talking about that early too. Miranda, that's why everyone's name's longer. I don't know. I don't know if YouTube changed something, but it shows up like that on a StreamYard chat also. So I don't know if YouTube changed something. I don't know what they did. There is no telling. Absolutely. Patriotism says, by the way, happy Thanksgiving. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Just got a couple more days. Yeah, it's showing the actual what they call handles. Because your handle, it can be, is whatever, I guess whatever YouTube assigns it, but you can go in and change what they call the name to whatever you want it to be. But yeah, so it's showing the handles instead of the names, and I don't. Once again, don't know why. Yeah, the Broncos are doing good this season. Um, oh, Black Knight says he didn't have a dog in the NFL fight. He's a Giants fan. Oh goodness, how are the Giants doing? I guess not very good. I haven't been able. I haven't been. They, like I said, I have whatever CBS or Fox shows here, the local affiliate show here, which is like Mustang said, it's if the Chiefs or the Cowboys are playing, they're always going to show those. So they don't show a lot of Giants games down here. But now back way back when Eli Manning was quarterback, I love the Giants. I love Peyton, love Eli. So yeah, I watched the Giants back in the day. They had a good team back then. Okay, Chris says the cases he was talking about were the Littleton bowling alley homicides and the Littleton subway shop homicides. All right, I will look into those. We might have to do a live stream about them. Most definitely. Let's see. Miss Louise says she's a huge Eli fan. Yep. Yep, I like the Mannings. Of course, I watched both Eli and Peyton when they played college because Eli played for QB'd for Ole Miss, and then Peyton for Tennessee, both in the SEC, and once again from Arkansas. I'm an SEC person. And now you have Arch Manning, who is the other brother, Cooper's son. He's QBing for the Longhorns, which are back in the SEC. Whatever, I don't know what division or what conference they were in before, but they moved when they were doing all the switching around, team switching to different conferences. The Longhorns are one of the with Oklahoma came to the SEC, and that's who we got beat by this past Saturday. So Arch, even though I love all the Mannings, Arch is doing pretty good. He's didn't start out too good, but he's getting there. But yeah, he decided to have his, as far stat wise, decided to have his best day ever of college playing us. Of course, it wasn't like I thought that Arkansas would win anyway, regardless. But anyway, yeah. Chris says the second one is connected to Columbine. Really? Yep, Arch. Yep, I like old little Art, and he's a Manning through and through. I'm telling you. All right, so we'll get back to this. Get back to Nonnie here. So let's get through this. So while he was not officially named a suspect, investigators. Hold on, let me mark where I was at so I can find. There we go. So while he was not officially named a suspect, investigators initially sought to speak with Edward Vale, 54, the father of Nonnie's child. However, according to ABC7, when investigators in Bexar County, Texas, along with members of the Air Force Special Investigations, went to Vale's home to question him shortly after her disappearance, he did refuse to speak with them. Bexar County Sheriff Sergeant Mike Pessis said he's acting on the advice of his attorney, and so it's hard to make anything of it. It seems to me the reasonably prudent person would want to do whatever they could do to help find the mother of his child. It does seem rather odd to me. Yep, seems a little odd to me. So on December 1st of 2006, Vale's attorney contacted authorities and made arrangements for his client to meet with him the following week. During the interim, crime library investigator David Lohr spoke with a source close to the investigation who was able to provide background information on Nonnie's relationship with Vale. According to the source, Nonnie and Vale met in 2004 while taking line dancing lessons at the Midnight Rodeo and Cowboys Dance Hall in San Antonio. Nonnie was immediately smitten with Vale, who was 20 years her senior, and the two soon began dating. Things went well at first, but the situation allegedly took a turn for the worse in 2005 when Nonnie discovered that she was pregnant. According to the source, Vale became angry when he heard the news and demanded that Nonnie take care of the baby. I don't know if the A word, if YouTube will, but to get rid of the baby, basically. So when she refused, he broke off the relationship and denied that the baby was his. A friend of Nonnie's, who wishes to remain anonymous, said that after he learned of Nonnie's pregnancy, Vale's personality completely changed and he turned from happy-go-lucky to hostile. This friend says he started spreading nasty rumors about Nonnie that anyone who truly knows her would know weren't even remotely true, but enough people chose to believe the lies, and it made it difficult for Nonnie to feel comfortable at dance lessons. And when Nonnie would show up, Ed would leave shortly thereafter, usually, and come back only after she left. So according to a Hollywood Park police report obtained by the Rocky Mountain News, Vale placed a 911 call regarding a domestic dispute on June 22nd of 2005, which was just days before the birth of their daughter. The following text is taken from the police report. So let me get a drink right quick before I read some more. So this from this police report says, quote, upon arrival, I contacted Vale, who stated that Nonnie was refusing to leave. After speaking with both subjects, it was determined that there had been no physical violence. Dotson had come to the residence to pick up some of her belongings, and the two subjects got into a verbal disturbance, end quote. So the officer was able to defuse the situation, and Vale declined to press charges. Nonnie then agreed to make arrangements with the police to have her belongings picked up at a later date. According to Nonnie's friends, the breakup with Vale devastated Nonnie. She was, they said, deeply in love with him, and his decision to leave her over the pregnancy broke her heart. After the breakup with Vale, it took Nonnie nearly a year before she felt comfortable dating again. In September of 2005, Vale filed a paternity suit claiming that Savannah was not his child. However, a DNA test confirmed he was the father, and 2 months before her disappearance, a Bexar County, a Texas judge ordered Vale to pay Nonnie $10,000 in back child support and $900 a month until Savannah is 18. So that's a good chunk of money. One of Nonnie's friends said, quote, he fought tooth and nail to prevent taking any responsibility for Savannah. And when finally faced with having to take responsibility, as I was told, he told the judge that he would be a token father only and would provide the monetary support mandated by the court, but that would be his only involvement, end quote. Oh, he sounds like a really stand-up guy. While most of Nonnie's friends had nothing positive to say about Vale, his neighbors in San Antonio described him as a nice, friendly, what they call, quote, the perfect neighbor. Crime Library was able to gain some insight into Vale's life by speaking with several neighbors on the phone. According to one neighbor who wishes to remain anonymous, Vale was unemployed. He received money from his mother, who neighbors described as very wealthy. She reportedly owned several properties throughout the state of Texas, including a 500-acre ranch outside of Fredericksburg. Several people claimed that Nonnie had wanted to finish out her term in the Air Force and move back to Colorado. However, prior to her disappearance, she had sold her home in Colorado and purchased one in San Antonio. So once again, I made it through a few more pages. So I'm going to take a break for a second and get caught up in your comments. I won't get too far behind. Give my voice a little bit of a rest. Like I said, I just woke up this morning with just like a sore, scratchy throat. Okay, so Chris said one of those cases, the victims were students at Columbine. Okay, I'll definitely check into that. Hey, Miss Z. Miss Z is here from Trial Junkies United. Welcome, welcome, ma'am. Always good to see you. Please do check out Trial Junkies United. They do excellent, excellent work over there. I'm sure somebody will get Miss Doodle and has been getting in links. And Mustang, I believe. Thank you to everybody who's putting in links. I appreciate it. I always forget to thank you guys. There's Junior, and he comes in with $5. Thank you so much, Junior. It's always good to see you. Thank you so much, my friend. And I hope you're doing well tonight. I'm assuming you're in, yep, he is in Michigan tonight. I hope you're doing all right. I hope it's not too cold up there. Who you talking about? Avery says, I do not like him at all. Are you talking about the ex-boyfriend? Yeah, he's in my opinion, he's not a not much of a. Yeah, Chris says, I don't like her ex at all. Nope, I don't either. Miss Avery's got her red flags. Yep, absolutely. Miss Z says, this dude is scum. I agree with you, ma'am. I agree. Absolutely. Shout out to the mods for all their hard work. All right, I'm caught up, so we'll get back to this. Oh, I forgot to go to the next page. All right, so on December 4th of 2006, authorities in Texas were scheduled to meet with Vale to discuss Nonnie's disappearance, but he failed to show. According to an article published by the Rocky Mountain News, investigators were shocked by Vale's lack of cooperation. Neither Vale nor his attorney called the Bexar County Sheriff's Office to cancel the meeting. Jefferson County Sheriff spokeswoman Jackie Kelly said, quote, we are frustrated by the lack of cooperation involving Edward Vale, and it causes us a great deal of concern that he is unwilling to cooperate or share any information that might be pertinent to this missing persons investigation. We have little recourse at this point. I can't imagine the difficult position he has put himself in the San Antonio area. This is such big news down there. People knowing him, knowing where he lives, I think he has created some difficult circumstances for himself. Absolutely. And I hope I shouldn't say this, but I hope they gave him a hard time. Because once again, even if he didn't have anything to do, with Nonnie's disappearance, he just wasn't, in my opinion, was not a good guy. And so it could have been, once again, they said that he had receipts and alibis, everything checked out, that he was in Texas when this happened. So even, in my opinion, even if he didn't have anything to do with it, he could have just been giving them a hard time, not showing up, refusing to cooperate, just to be an a-hole, basically. Just to be a butthole. He just comes across, sounds like that kind of guy that would just do it for spite, even if he didn't have anything to do with it. So according to spokeswoman Kelly, it was the second time in 2 weeks that Vale had snubbed investigators. The previous week, authorities had gone to Vale's home to speak with him, but he allegedly refused to open the door, claiming that his attorney had advised him not to speak with them. During this time, San Antonio's News 4 conducted an interview with one of Nonnie's neighbors, according to a lady named Jennifer, who had met Nonnie when she had first moved into the neighborhood. But I do find this interesting, not in a good way, once again. So this neighbor said that Nonnie had made a peculiar statement to her shortly after they met. So this neighbor said, quote, when we moved in and she met us, one of the first things she said to us was that she had problems with her ex, and that if we saw anything suspicious to call the police, and that if anything ever happened to her, if she ever came up missing or was hurt or anything, that he, referring to Vale, was behind it, end quote. So I did find that very, very disturbing, you know, and it could be just going in, just speculation, just thoughts here. Like somebody said earlier in chat, even if Vale was in Texas, did have the airtight alibi, receipts to prove that he was there, doesn't mean he couldn't ask somebody else to do it. I mean, it's happened before, unfortunately, many times. All right, we're almost through here, guys. So on December 7th of 2006, Vale finally met with investigators from the Bexar County Sheriff's Department. The meeting took place at the office of J.S. Norton, who was Vale's San Antonio attorney. According to Norton, Vale provided investigators with receipts and cell phone records that prove that he was either in San Antonio or Fredericksburg, Texas, during the days leading up to and following Nonnie's disappearance. Now, see, I found it may just be the way it's worded, during the days leading up to and the days following the disappearance. What about the day of the disappearance? I don't know. But once again, from Texas to Colorado, I don't know. I mean, that would be a pretty far way to drive, but still, once again, could have just been the way that they worded it that made me go, So Norton said in a brief comment to a local news outlet, a quote, this interview was not about Nonnie Dotson. It was about where Edward was during relevant times, end quote. So shortly after the interview, Crime Library spoke with Jefferson County Sheriff spokeswoman Jackie Kelly, who said that Vale was cooperative during the 45-minute interview. She says, quote, I cannot give you any specifics, but I can say he answered all of the questions he was asked. However, when asked if the information was useful in regard to Nonnie's disappearance, she gave a less positive reply. She said, quote, we are still no closer to understanding what happened, end quote. So, don't know what exactly was said, but so Crime Library, I can't say library tonight, the library also spoke with Second Lieutenant David Herndon, who is a spokesman for Wilford Hall Medical Center, where Nonnie worked as an ICU nurse. According to Lieutenant Herndon, the military had changed Nonnie's status from whereabouts unknown to missing. During this time, Crime Library received several emails from sources claiming that Vale had filed for custody of Savannah. Nonnie's mother, Candace Dotson Doyle, told Crime Library, quote, I am aware of the rumors, but we have not received any paperwork regarding custody. If it were true, I would have to get a lawyer and find out what our rights are, end quote. So in addition to Doyle's comments, the Denver Post published an article that quoted Vale's attorney as saying that his client was not opposed to Nonnie's parents retaining custody of Savannah. Norton said, quote, it's his belief that she is being adequately cared for and not neglected in any fashion, end quote. So in January of 2007, despite previous assurances from his attorney that Edward Vale had no opposition to Nonnie's parents caring for Savannah, Vale asked a Texas court to award him custody of his daughter. But yet, when she was born, or shortly after, first he didn't even want Nonnie to have the baby in the first place. Then he said, "I'm not the father. I want a paternity test." But now, all of a sudden, I wonder why he wants custody of her. Can we guess why? So a few weeks later, Val faced off with Nonnie's parents in the San Antonio courtroom. And during the hearing, Nonnie's parents allegedly introduced several pieces of evidence, including a birth announcement that Nonnie had sent to Val, on which he had allegedly written, quote, bastard child. Oh, this guy's a scumbag. Like Mr. Z said, he's a scumbag, before mailing it back to her. So following testimony by both sides, District Judge Karen Posa rendered a temporary judgment, granting full custody to the grandparents and allowing Val to have at least 12 hours of supervised visits with the child before he could resume his custody suit. According to a friend of the family, the judge granted a request by Nonnie's parents that Val be required to travel to Colorado for these supervised visitations. However, before her parents could return to Colorado, the judge also granted Val 1 hour of time to meet with Savannah at a local McDonald's before Nonnie's parents could leave the state. So a family friend told Crime Library, quote, during that hour, Edward never once looked at his daughter nor touched her. He also tried to intimidate Candace, who is Nonnie's mother, by staring her down. And when she marched over to the table where he sat with two other people, one of which was his sister, and asked him if he had anything to say to her, he told her to get out of the place right now. And then they said his sister just sat there at the table with her head hung down, staring at the floor and not saying anything. During an interview with ABC7, Nonnie's brother Tony, who is the one that she was staying with in Colorado, said that his family was happy with the ruling. He said, quote, my mother feels Savannah is the last link to Nonnie, so we would like to keep her in the family, end quote. So many of Nonnie's friends and family members believe that Val filed for custody so he would not have to pay the $900 a month child support. So how many of y'all guessed that? That was the reason. I imagine most of you. So in November of 2007, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office transferred Nonnie's case from the Missing Persons Department to homicide investor Kate Batan. So investigator Batan said in an interview with the Denver Post, quote, as time goes on, it's strange that if she was voluntarily missing, we have absolutely no evidence. None of her financial records have been accessed. It's odd that there have been no sightings, end quote. The following month, Nonnie's friends and family held 2 memorial services for Nonnie in Littleton, Colorado, and San Antonio, Texas. Candace, her mom, said, quote, we wanted Nonnie not to be forgotten, and we were afraid that she is being forgotten because there's no word, no clue on her disappearance. For this to happen to her is horrible, and for us getting as little help as we've gotten, I think is a tragedy, end quote. So apparently they weren't getting a whole lot. Once again, to go back to the whole, when an adult goes missing, you know, they're an adult. They can go missing if they want to, which is true. And some people do leave of their own accord. But like Ms. Z says, even if they do leave of their own accord, after they do leave, something could happen that's out of their control. They find themselves in a situation that they can't get out of, and something bad does happen. So on January 17th, 2008, the Texas court granted Edward Val custody of Savannah. So Kevin Dole, who was Nonnie's stepfather, said, quote, my wife and I from the start of this said that if we ever meet Nonnie, either here on earth or somewhere else, that we would be able to look her in the eye and tell her that we did the best we could for what she wanted for Savannah and for her. It's always been what's in the best interest for Savannah. If we determine it's in the best interest of Savannah to continue this custody fight, we will, end quote. So the Doyles have exhausted their entire savings on legal fees. They had to put their home up for sale to increase the reward for information on Nonnie's whereabouts to $100,000. There is nothing currently linking Edward Vale to Nonnie's disappearance, and the authorities have not named him as a suspect. That, along with the fact that they were thousands of miles apart at the time of her disappearance, makes it less likely, although not impossible, that he was involved. So, once again, anyone with information regarding Nonnie's disappearance should contact the Jefferson County Sheriff's Tip Line at 303-271-5612. So, yeah, I said, regardless of whether Vale, the ex-boyfriend, the father, had anything to do with it, he's just not a good guy. But that article had, and it has to be, hopefully it's in this, because I don't know how many articles I read, but I think it's in this other article with the family that it mentions the interesting, horrible thing about the brother that she was staying with when she disappeared. But while that's loading, let me get caught up on the comments again. PJ says she's listening. I'm a bit sleepy tonight. Far kept me up all night. My goodness. Thank you, Mustang is getting in links. Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Z says, why would they be shocked about a guy who wanted nothing to do with his own child? I know. I wasn't shocked when, like I said, even once again, even if he did not have anything to do with her disappearance. My glasses, I forgot to clean my glasses, and now I'm fogging them up here. Even if he didn't have anything to do with her disappearance, his non-cooperation could have just been for spite because he was being not a good guy. Yep, I thought about that too. Ms. Z says he had money. You can pay for trouble to go away too. Yep. Because when I read that article, or what I just got finished reading, apparently he was it his mother was very wealthy on lots of property or whatever in Texas. So yeah, money can be used for a whole lot of bad things. So that's why I said I'm not, in my mind, I'm not completely, in my opinion, just my non-professional opinion, I can't completely rule him out, because even if, like I said, even if he was in Texas, they could have definitely hired somebody else to do it. Not saying that they did, but it's possible. Hey, Gibbo, good to see you, friend. Hope you're doing well. Yep, that about sums it up, Avery. Hey, Frank Meister, good to see you, sir. Welcome. I hope you're doing well tonight. Yeah, see, that got me too. Z says that that is major to say to a new neighbor. I have a new neighbor, and we took them cookies, not dropping heavy duty convo about our life. She had to be scared to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because she told the neighbor, if anything, if I disappear, if I turn up deceased, the ex did it. The ex had something to do with it. So, yeah, most definitely. Yep, Miss Avery says, I'm very suspicious of him. He could have hired someone. Absolutely. Yep, low life scum buckets. Yep, Mustang says that's usually the reason: child support or alimony. You are correct, ma'am. Z says, I wonder if they would have said keep your child support if he had stopped, unless his mommy wanted him to get custody. See, that's what I'm thinking. And apparently, I guess his mommy didn't want to pay the back child support. What I say it was it $10,000 back child support, and then he was to pay $900 a month? To me, that, in my opinion, that's why he wanted custody of the girl, of the child, is so he wouldn't have to pay the child support. The only reason. All right, so let me get to this other article. I can't talk as usual. So this article is from May of 2017. As something happened to her, family wants answers 10 years after single mom's disappearance. So it has been more than a decade since Candace Dole saw her daughter. She said, quote, "It affects you to your core. It affects you to your soul. It changes you as a person. You lose part of your heart and you never get it back," end quote. So Nonnie Dotson, a nurse with the U.S. Air Force, has not been seen since November 19th of 2006. Excuse me. She was visiting from San Antonio and staying at her brother Tony Dotson's house in Littleton. He was the last person to see her. Keep that in mind. She was last seen leaving Tony's house to do some shopping. Once again, she was going to go to this shopping center to see some friends, meet up with some friends. But she never came home that Saturday or Sunday. And on Monday afternoon, the family did file a missing persons report. Detective Elias Alberti with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office said, quote, "When we do realize the person is missing or there may be some other circumstances to it, usually we're hours or days behind the last time that person was seen," end quote. And he said that's one issue detectives face in missing persons cases, and the other, there is no crime scene. There's no crime scene. There's no body. No trace of her has ever shown up except for her phone that they found in the middle of the field. Alberti went on to say, quote, "There's not a body. There's nothing to go off of. And that really helps us in homicide cases and even general evidence. Physical evidence or crime scene that leads up to clues and leads us to other people. And you don't have that in missing persons cases," end quote. Investigators typically look at if someone has a reason to go missing. In Nonnie's case, that was eliminated fairly quickly. She was a single mother to a 16-month-old girl named Savannah. Nonnie was also 3 months away from being discharged from the Air Force and was getting ready to move back to Colorado. Dole said, that's her mother, says, quote, I know absolutely that she would not have walked off. I know that to my soul, something happened to her," end quote. The day after Nonnie disappeared, police did get a ping from her cell phone not far from the area that she was last seen. Dogs traced her scent there, but no evidence was found. Investigators believe she was taken against her will, but Alberti says at this point there's only one thing that can solve the case. He says, quote, "It's going to take that person coming forward after all these years to say, this is what I know happened. In these kinds of cases, it just takes something really small," end quote. And that is true. No bit of information is ever too small in these cases. So they don't mention the cell phone. I wonder if this is before because they did ping the cell phone and find the cell phone in the middle of the field. Or maybe they just pinged it, they said, to within 30 feet of a 3 or 4 acre field. Maybe they didn't actually find the phone. Maybe that's where it last pinged to. Because I said they had it narrowed down to, I think, 30 to 40 foot radius in a 3 to 4 acre field. So investigators believe that she was taken against her will, but Alberti says at this point there's only one thing. I already read that. Never mind. So the thought of Nonnie brings up a lot of emotions. Her mom says, quote, "Of not loving them enough, not telling them enough how much you love them, and not going out and looking for her, not asking for more help. It changes everything about you," end quote. So Dole says that she hopes someone will hear Nonnie's story and feel touched enough to do the right thing and come forward with what they know. Until then, all her family can do is wait. Her mom says, quote, "There is no justice for Nonnie. Nonnie is gone now. I can't bring her back. I don't even care that the person who did this gets caught or punished. I don't even care anymore. All I want to do is bury my daughter. I know there's something left of her." end quote. All right, so now we get to Tony, the brother that she was staying with in Colorado. So Nonnie's brother Tony was the last person to see her alive, and he was found guilty of SA with a deadly weapon in 2014, and he was sentenced to 48 years to life in prison. So I found that extremely interesting. So in 2014, he was found guilty of SA with a deadly weapon, sentenced to 48 years to life in prison. Once again, this is the brother that she was staying with when she disappeared. Not saying he had anything to do with her, but just something to think about. And while serving his sentence, he was also convicted of criminal solicitation to commit homicide. I don't know who that was, and he has never been named a suspect in Nonnie's disappearance. So, 9 News tried to contact him for comment on this story, but he has been transferred to an out-of-state, undisclosed prison. So once again, anyone with information about Nonnie's disappearance is asked to call the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office tip line at 303-277-0211. So just, yeah, Tony, just, yeah, that just hit me like a brick wall when I was reading this, because I'd read the article, that other 10-page article that I read from Crime Library, and a couple of other articles, and did have interviews with Tony, and he came across as such a nice guy, and he was worried about his sister and this and that. And once again, not saying he had anything to do with her disappearance, but he was found guilty of SA with a deadly weapon, sentenced, and he's in prison. So I'm sure you guys have something to say about that. I think I forgot to. Okay. Let me get my other articles loading while I'm getting caught up on comments. All right, that's the next one. Okay. All right. I think I'm caught up. All right. So, need a drink. Next, we have Jennifer Ann Douglas. So, Jennifer has been missing since July 16th, 1984 from Denver. She was just 17 years old when she went missing. This is classified as a non-family abduction. She would be 58 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 5 feet tall and 87 pounds. That is very, to me, that would be almost under malnourished. I mean, she's only 5 foot tall, but she had blonde hair and blue-green eyes. She wears contact lenses. Her nickname is Jenny. She was last known to be wearing a blue-green khaki shorts, black Nike sneakers, and a blue fanny pack. So there's not a whole lot of information in Jennifer's case, but she called her mother from their home in the 2500 block of Albion Street in the Park Hill neighborhood of Denver on July 16th, 1984. She said she was going for a bike ride on the Highline Canal Trail. So the bicycle was a brand new Boys Univega 12-speed model with tag number 12083. A witness saw her riding north on Monaco Parkway after she left her residence. Jennifer was supposed to have a ballet class from 4 to 9 p.m., but she never showed up for a class. She never returned home. An extensive search turned up no sign of her or the bicycle. She was a dedicated rider who sometimes rode for 60 miles at a time. That's a lot of miles, 60 miles at a time. Jennifer was looking forward to appearing in a ballet performance scheduled the week after her disappearance. She attended East High School. She was a straight-A student with no apparent problems at home, at school, or at home. Her parents cited that she was not the kind of person to run away. Foul play is suspected in Jennifer's case. Both authorities and her family believe that she was taken against her will, and her disappearance remains unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the Denver PD at 303-640-3875. Let's see. I don't think I was able to find maybe a little bit of something on Web Sleuths. We'll look through here and see. I bookmarked it for a reason, apparently, but let me see. So I was talking. Oh, that's the Charlie Project information. So somebody posted in July 2007 on Web Sleuths. They said, I remember discussing Jennifer's disappearance with a NCMEC investigator, and she said they had zilch, no evidence of an abduction, but no evidence that she left on her own either. And if she left on her own, it seems likely she would have gotten in touch with her family by now. They said, who runs away on a bicycle anyway, especially a 17-year-old who could probably drive, which is true. Somebody else mentioned on here, said it's interesting that this disappearance happened the same year as the Bennett homicides. The Bennett homicides, Patricia Smith, Donna Dixon, they say several similar attacks happened along the Highline Canal leading up to these attacks. They say this offender worked his way along the Alameda corridor. So I don't know if that has anything, anything to do with this case or not, with Jennifer's case. Let's see if I can get this article to come up from Web Sleuths. Maybe not. It says it's not secure. It's from denverpost.com. Why is it not secure? Oh. Close it out as soon as it tries to come up. Now it probably won't come up again. Anyway. Oh, there it is. Oh, no. There's been a critical error on the website. It won't load it. Of course not. All right. So someone else posted, do you think this case could be connected to Elizabeth Miller from 1983 or Janelle Matthews from 1984? Both were about the same age. Janelle vanished not far from where Jennifer lived. Says, or maybe the homicide of Tracy Neef in 1983 or the homicide of Sabrina Judish in 1984. So apparently there was a lot of young ladies going missing, either going missing or their lives being taken in that area. Interesting. Maybe that's why I bookmarked this, because I found that interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. Oh, and that age progression photo is to age 44. That the smaller picture that's set into the bigger picture there on the slide is age progression to 44. All right, that was all that the Web Sleuths has. So not a whole lot more of information. I thought it was interesting though about the other disappearances and the homicides. Don't know if it has any, don't know if it's connected or not. All right. So next we have a little one, Anthony Stephen Michael Moya. So Anthony went missing on June 12th, 1989, from Denver. This is a considered classified and non-family abduction. He is an Hispanic male. He was just 2 years old when he went missing. He'll be 38 years old as of 2025. When he went missing, he was 2 feet tall, 26 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He does have facial dimples. He has blue colored birthmarks on his buttocks and on his back, and a scar on the back of his right leg. At the time of his disappearance, he had a bald spot on the front of his head where some hair had been pulled out. So I want to know, did he pull his own hair out? Did somebody else pull his hair out? Because to me, the story is a little hinky. Just my opinion. I'm not saying that, you know. So Anthony and his mother, Jessica Moya, were sleeping on the couch in an apartment in the 500 block of Webster Street near West 6th Avenue and Wadsworth Boulevard in Denver on June 12th, 1989 at approximately 8:30 a.m. So Anthony, Jessica, and her infant daughter was staying with relatives at the time. They had been living in the apartment for about a month. So Jessica, the mom, stated that she woke up at approximately 8:45 a.m. and discovered that the front door was open and that Anthony was missing. There was no sign of Anthony or any intruders. He has never been seen again. So Jessica and her boyfriend were questioned after Anthony's disappearance. They did take polygraph tests. Jessica told the media that they both failed and they were regarded as suspects in Anthony's disappearance. She maintains her innocence. She stated that she believed Anthony had been abducted by a stranger. But other residents of the apartment complex did not report seeing Anthony wandering around outside. I mean, if the door wasn't locked, it's possible he could have, if they were sleeping on the couch there in the living room, he could have opened the door and wandered out. But nobody in the apartment complex reported seeing Anthony wandering around. They did not report any suspicious activity in the area on the morning of his disappearance. And it says, due to the lack of evidence in the case, that is why it is classified as a non-family abduction. So if you have any information, you can call the Lakewood PD at 303-987-7111. Let me see what I was able to find on. I don't think I was able to find any additional information. He is listed on the Doe Network. Maybe there's something on here that was. Oh, I forgot to. Hold on, let me go. He was last known to be wearing just yellow pajama pants. I think there was something in the Doe Network that. Okay, so I don't know if it is okay. So this is why I bookmarked the Doe Network. So I don't know if it's just misprints or miscommunications to the between like the Doe Network, Charlie Project, or in the official account, or if the mom changed her story. Once again, the first information was from Charlie Project. Sometimes everybody gets stuff wrong sometimes, but because she said that they were both sleeping in the living room on the couch when he disappeared. But according to Doe Network, it says during the morning of June 12th, 1989, Jessica Moya reported her 2-year-old son Anthony was missing from an apartment complex. Moya stated that she woke up around 8:30 a.m. and found her son was asleep in a bedroom, and that she had been sleeping on the floor in the apartment's living room. She then went back to sleep in the front room for another 15 minutes. She woke up again, and this is when she discovered that the front door of the residence was open and Anthony was missing. So I said, I don't know if she changed her story or if it was just miscommunication with the way it was printed, the way the information was given out. So canvassing the apartment complex revealed nothing, and no one has seen the boy. Both Mrs. Moya and her boyfriend, Tim Vigil, failed the lie detector test, but insist that they had nothing to do with the boy's disappearance. To date, Anthony's whereabouts are unknown. So I found that interesting. I said, I don't know if she changed her story or what. But they did fail lie detector tests. But once again, lie detector tests are not reliable completely. But get into your comments again. Oh, Miss Avery's back. Welcome back, Miss Avery. Yeah, we missed you. Yeah. We always miss you when you're gone. See, you were missed. Okay, so patriotism says, going back to Nonnie's case, in my opinion, he said, or they say, I think her brother was involved since he was the last one to see her alive. See, that, to me, that's a possibility, absolutely, especially after we found out the information about in 2014, this brother was convicted of SA with a what was it, with a weapon or whatever. He was sentenced to 48 years to life in prison for this SA with a deadly weapon. So yeah, and he was the last one to see her. I'm assuming he's the one that told authorities and the family or whatever that, yeah, she said she was going to walk to excuse me, she was going to walk to the shopping center and meet up with some friends and have a smoothie or whatever. Yeah, so I have questions. I'll just put it that way. I definitely have questions. And then, like I said, it was reported one place. It was, once again, it could just be miscommunication to news outlets, but one place, one article said that she did have access to a car while she was there, but she chose to walk. And then another article said that she didn't have access to a car, so that's why she walked to the shopping center. So I don't know. Junior says, I just looked at NamUs. There are over 87,000 missing persons. I know. It's so sad. So I said, we could be here. All of us could be on here 24/7 sharing these cases. Cold cases, newer cases, urgent cases, and it just wouldn't, it's a drop in the bucket, barely. Yep, Avery says, I'll go back to Anthony says he was an adorable toddler. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there is the age progression of him. I can't remember. Let me go back to the Charlie Project, what age it was. That's an age progression. The smaller picture is the age progression to 31, and he will be 38 as of this year. Ms. Z says that those are the ones that get reported. So many MMIP never even get listed. Not every state is required to even use it. A lot have never even heard of NamUs. No kidding. Yeah, that is true, sadly. Yep, and I don't think it's I can't remember if it was maybe one of Miss Z's live streams, Trial Junkies United live streams. Are talking about I heard somebody mention that law enforcement is not required to report missing persons to like NamUs and Dole Network, I don't think. And some of them, like I said, haven't even heard of like NamUs and Dole Network and things like that. So, and it's absolutely sadly true about the MMIP. So many of them don't get listed, don't get reported, and even if they do get listed or reported, they're not given the same consideration, the same effort that other cases do. As Paula says, Robert Irwin just went Dancing with the Stars. Oh, he's Steve Irwin's son. Miss Paula said he's the son of the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin. Hey, Miss Peggy, good to see you. You're fine, Miss Peggy. Good to see you, ma'am. Z says, as of 2023, only 16 states require them to report to NamUs. So it goes state by state. So it's the state's decision whether they report it or not. Man, to me, that should be, I don't know, should be mandatory or standard SOP, standard operating procedure, but apparently not. All right, let me check one more time, make sure that that's all I had on Anthony. Man, it's getting hot in here again. My glasses are fogging up again. All right. So next we have Rebecca Ann Kellison. It's so good to see you too, Miss Peggy. So Rebecca was last seen on June 24th, 1976 in Denver. She's a white female. She was just 21 years old at the time she went missing. She'll be 71 years old. So this is 50 years old. She'd be 71 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 5'4" tall, 110 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes, and her nickname is Becky. She was last known to be wearing a brown suede coat, a short-sleeved knit shirt, a blue jeans, multicolored bikini-style panties, and black boots. So that's very specific, especially about the underwear. So Rebecca was last seen in Denver. She, her sister, and her sister's husband had gone out to nightclubs the previous evening, and Rebecca spent the night at her sister's home in the area of East Colfax Avenue and Madison Street. Between 8 and 9 a.m., Rebecca left her sister's residence. She left a note saying that she was going to her own home in Aurora, Colorado. She had to study for her last exam at Lane Beauty Academy, where she was just 2 days from graduating. She did not have her car with her, so it is possible that she decided to hitchhike, which not uncommon, especially back in 1976. She never arrived home, and she has never been seen or heard from again. Authorities initially thought that Rebecca had just simply left, once again, left of her own accord, even though, well, she was an adult, she was 21. Once again, adults can go missing if they want to, they say. But her family did not believe that she would have walked out on her life. They stated that she was close to them and would not have wanted to put additional strain on her father, who was ill at the time. And so then on December 26th of 1977, some of Rebecca's clothes, her shoes, her blue shoulder purse, and her Armed Forces dependent ID card were found buried in a rural farmer's field in Adams County, Colorado. So that just doesn't happen by accident, in my opinion. So the field has since been paved over, and it is now a runway, an airport runway, and the case remains unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the Aurora Police Department at 303-739-6190. I think I do have an article with some statements from law enforcement and maybe her mother, or about the clothes being buried. So this article is from December of 2011. A young beauty college student's clothes buried. So Rebecca Becky Kellison was eager to get home so she could study for a final test at Lane Beauty Academy in Aurora. She was only 2 days from graduating. The 21-year-old woman, she had gone dancing at nightclubs with her sister Carol and her husband the night before on a Friday. So early the next morning, sorry, ads are popping up as usual. So early the next morning, before her sister awoke, she wrote a note saying, "quote I'm going home. Love, Becky." It was the last communication any family member or friend ever had with Becky. She left a note between 8 and 9 a.m. on Saturday, June 19th, 1976. Her mother, Margaret Kellison, says, "I still have that note." She still has that note. Becky's car was then parked in front of her parents' home in Aurora, so she likely walked a few blocks and either hitchhiked or took a bus a few blocks from her sister's Denver apartment near City Park. And her mother says that she never saw any danger in doing that. So then the next day, one of Becky's classmates from the beauty academy called Becky's mother to see if she could catch a ride to the beauty school that Monday for the test. And her mother, Margaret, says, "I had a lump in my throat because Becky had never come home." So she immediately made a missing persons report with Denver and Aurora police. But she was told that because Becky was 21, that there was no cause for alarm. She's an adult. She can go missing. Her mother says, "quote She was just considered a runaway. There was nothing they could do." So technically, she wouldn't be a runaway. I mean, she was of age, but still. But Margaret knew that her daughter would not just leave. She had a test to take, and she would have never left her family like that. For one thing, she had a close relationship with her father, who was suffered a debilitating heart attack. She wouldn't do something like run away because that would cause him more stress. So after her father had his heart attack and couldn't work, Becky had agreed to babysit her two younger siblings at night while her mother worked. She was just 16, 17 at the time, but she never complained about having to do that. She was very responsible. Margaret says, quote, "She really became the second mother to my two younger children. She was just a real sweetheart. I knew something had happened to her," end quote. She does say her daughter did have a temper and that if riled in the right circumstances, she could get very angry. Margaret worried about a scenario in which her daughter's temper did flash up. She called police every week or so, but they acted like they didn't want to hear anything from her, which sadly is the case in a lot of missing adult cases. Margaret said, quote, "I assumed they would check with their friends to see if they had seen her that morning. I thought they would at least do something. They did not believe anything happened to her. It was a difficult time," end quote. But they never did. If she had known that they weren't going to check with friends, she would have knocked on doors and done it herself. So then in December of 1977, a farmer was plowing a field in Adams County on property where the Denver International Airport runway is located. And at the time, the ground was a field. The plow uncovered clothing, so the farmer called the Adams County Sheriff's Office. So investigators came out. They dug up the ground. They found Rebecca's blue purse with her ID inside. So this is how they knew about the underwear. So they found her jeans, her underwear, her black boots, a pair of shoes. So it's interesting that they found her black boots and another additional pair of shoes. They found a brown suede jacket and her short-sleeved print shirt. So what they didn't find, said Steve Connor, who is the major crime homicide unit detective, was Rebecca's body. So I don't know if they assumed maybe that she was buried out there somewhere, and they just didn't find her. So Margaret repeatedly went to the site to see what police were doing to search for her daughter's remains. Although police said they had dug up the whole field looking for her daughter's remains, She said she never saw any sign of that. She strongly believed that she strongly believed that Rebecca was buried somewhere in that field. So years later, when the area was paved over for the runway, her remains obviously were, unable to be found at that time. So Margaret says, when the Denver International Airport was built out there, I think they covered up her body. I don't think we'll ever find it. Connor said that it's possible after so much time had passed that scavengers had maybe, due to scavengers, the remains weren't able to be found, leaving no trace of her at the location. So over the years, detectives suspected Bundy. So here goes Bundy again. Suspected Ted Bundy and another serial offender may have been involved. The case was never solved, which she does. I'm not saying Bundy had anything to do with it, but she does look like his type. So her mom, unfortunately, says, quote, "I have long given up hope. I think it's a dangerous, dangerous world," end quote. So once again, the Aurora Police Department can be reached at 303-739-6151. And did I give you the numbers? Because it said both the Denver and Aurora. Denver and Aurora police were investigating. We just had the Aurora Police Department on the trolley project. Oh, let's see if I had anything else. I had I had Web Solution bookmark. There might have been something there that caught my eye. Oh, that was the same article I just read. Maybe that's why I bookmarked it. Well, this said, somebody posted. I don't know if it's part of this article that I just read, but it said it says between 1975 and 1995, as many as 40 young girls and women were picked up along the Colfax Avenue corridor in Denver and Aurora. It says some were prostitutes, others were hitchhikers, and it said that Rebecca could have hitchhiked, or girls who had run away from home. Their bodies were found months later beside highways. Some were posed in a provocative way by the offender. Many were nude. So, I mean, at least we do know at least that she was separated from her clothing. I mean, down to the underwear and the shoes. And why were there two pair of shoes? Because I think it said in the trolley project information that she was last known to be wearing the black boots, but they said they found when they dug up, or when the farmer plowed the field and found the clothes, they found the pair of black boots and another pair. Let me go back to the article. Another pair of shoes. Let me go back and make sure that I read it right. So I don't know why they would find two pair of shoes unless she carried another. Maybe the boots might not have been, if she was walking, the boots might not have been comfortable to walk in, and she put some tennis shoes or more comfortable shoes on and was carrying the boots in her hand. That's the only thing I can think of. Let me find. Yeah, so they found her jeans, her underwear, black boots, her shoes, brown suede jacket, and short sleeve shirt. So apparently both pair, the black boots or maybe they said the black boots, her shoes. Or did they mean the black boots and a different pair of shoes? Now I'm confused. Anyway, I don't know. If it was two pair of shoes, weird. Like I said, it could be explained by, she changed into a different pair of shoes to walk and didn't want to leave her boots behind. So she was just carrying her boots, and then whatever happened to her, and everything ended up buried in the field. Let me see if there's anything else on Web Sleuth. I think that was it. Um, so it's just the same article. Okay, I don't think there's anything else. Okay, so well, somebody did post. I guess they thought read it the same way I did. This article. Somebody posted among the items found in that field were a pair of boots and a pair of shoes. Was Becky carrying any luggage? Did she stay for a while at her sister's home? Other interesting fact is that her mother didn't see any evidence, that the field was dug up. So maybe they did find, once again, I don't know. Shoes and boots. Okay. Oh, I was trying to find where I was at. Apparently, Miss Avery had a phone call. She'll be right back. Yep, Boston Christian says they're just coming up missing. How can so many people be missing? I know. Miss Paula says, why has she not been declared deceased? I don't know. I guess that's up to. Doesn't the family have to petition or whatever to have someone declare? And it has to be a certain number of years after they're missing, right? Before they can be declared legally deceased. It's like 5 years or something. I think the family has to petition and it has to be approved. I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of um, legal process that they have to go through. So I don't know why she and she might have been and it just didn't mention it. But usually in the trolley project, if someone has a missing person has been declared legally deceased, that they do mention it, and it didn't mention it in the trolley project. Yep, 2 days from graduating. Um, yep, me too, Miss Peggy. Miss Peggy says it so angers me when they say things like, "Oh, they just ran away, they'll come back," or "They're adults, they can disappear if they want to," or have to wait so long before considering them missing. Which that is a fallacy. You do not have to, even an adult, you do not have to wait. I don't think for teenagers, or minors, or adults, you don't have to wait. What is it? 48 hours. You got to wait 48 hours before you can report them missing. I think you can report them missing. You know, I could be wrong, but I know it's that way. I'm pretty sure it's that way with minors. A lot of police will say, or they used to say, I don't know if they do it so much anymore, that will tell parents, "Oh, you have to wait 48 hours before you report anyone missing." So, but yeah, it's just, yeah, I hate it too. That immediately with teenagers, oh, they're run away. They're a runaway. They'll come back, and then adults, they're an adult. They can do what they want. Yeah, Mustang says most people don't just go missing on purpose. True. Boston says families know if something is wrong when a loved one is missing. Absolutely. Man, Junior says we have 3,500 missing in Michigan. Oh, that's too many. One is too many, but Lord, 3,500. And then what did you say earlier? 885,000 or whatever. What was the number for the U.S.? Too many. Too many. All right. Let's see who we have next. All right. So next we have Jennifer Lynn Marcum. And from all the information I could find on this one is pretty much, well, it is cut and dried as far as somebody being confessing and arrested, but her body has still not been found. So Jennifer went missing. Oh, and I always forget to put my creeper up for the trigger warning. Oh, I go to the right place. There we go. Okay. So Jennifer has been missing since February 17th, 2003 from Denver. She's a white female. She was just 25 years old when she went missing. Excuse me, she'll be 48 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 5'6" tall and 115 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Her ears are pierced. She may use the last names Hull and or Wiggin. She has breast implants with unique serial numbers. She was wearing an IUD for birth control at the time of her disappearance. Jennifer was last seen between 11 a.m. and noon on February 17, 2003, in the vicinity of the 8500 block of Pena Boulevard near the Denver International Airport. Her brown four-door 1999 Saturn was later found abandoned in a remote parking lot at the airport. She has not been heard from since. There is no evidence that she took a flight out of the airport. Her cell phone has not been used since the day of her disappearance. Shortly before her disappearance, she had visited her boyfriend, Stephen Ennis, who was incarcerated in a federal detention center. So Stephen Ennis was awaiting trial on charges of running a distribution ring, and Jennifer was listed as a potential witness in his case. She visited him regularly in jail and told a friend that she wanted to marry him. The last phone call she made was to Stephen Ennis. She told him that she loved him and will see him in 3 days. Authorities believe that she may have been the victim of a homicide. Her disappearance is possibly related to her boyfriend's criminal case, but no arrests have been made in connection with her disappearance. So this was before. So Scott Campbell is a suspect in Jennifer's case. So the smaller picture you see there is Scott Campbell, and he's a piece of work. He and Jennifer knew each other well. They talked on the phone every day, and between December 2002 and February of 2003, they also met in person a dozen times. So Scott was a former cellmate of Stephen Ennis, but Scott was released from custody early so that he could be an FBI informant. He initially said that Ennis had solicited, let me make sure I get this straight. So Scott Campbell initially said that Stephen Ennis had solicited Jennifer to take out a witness against him. I think it's supposed to mean he solicited Scott Campbell for Scott Campbell to take out a witness against him, talking about Jennifer, and that she had bought a gun and flown to New York to commit this homicide. I know. So yeah. So Campbell said that Stephen Ennis was wanting Jennifer to take out this witness against him, and that she had bought a firearm, flown to New York to take out this witness. But in June of 2003, Campbell changed his story and told an FBI agent that a dealer who was one of Stephen Ennis's friends had taken the life of Jennifer. He said that the offender had strangled her and buried her body near Rifle, Colorado. He said he had seen a photograph of Jennifer lying in a fetal position with her arms and legs bound and her mouth taped shut. So Scott Campbell is a suspect in 3 homicides. One of them is his own uncle, Terry Campbell, Leanne Emery, and Casey McLeod. So Casey McLeod disappeared in 2003. Her body was identified in 2008. Casey was last seen in Scott Campbell, who later married Casey's mother. So Leanne Emery disappeared in 2004. Her body was found and identified in the spring of 2009. Scott Campbell has a long criminal history, and in December of 2008, he pled guilty to felony theft and being a habitual criminal. In July 2009, he led police to Terry's mummified remains in a remote mountain pass near Vail, Colorado. He agreed to reveal the body's location when prosecutors promised that he would not face charges in his uncle's death. So Campbell was originally sentenced to 48 years in prison, but his sentence was increased after he could not lead authorities to Jennifer's remains and admitted that she could be buried as far as 60 miles from the location that he had originally taken them to. So his sentence was up to 70 years. In 2018, he was named a person of interest in the 1998 homicide of Lena Reyes Geddes. Her body went unidentified for 20 years. So at the time that Jennifer disappeared, she was employed as a dancer at Shotgun Willie's, which is a club in Glendale, Colorado. She also has work experience in the fast food industry. She did have full custody of her toddler son in 2003. Her family described her as a dedicated parent who would not have willingly abandoned her child. She attended Lemphir High School in Springfield, Illinois, and she started living independently at the age of 17. She enjoys shopping, dancing, and sports, especially volleyball. And before her disappearance, they say she had mentioned a desire to travel to Spokane, Washington, or to New York. Her case remains unsolved. So if you have any information, you can call the FBI at 303-629-7171. So let me find. So now we're going to hear about this Richard Campbell, or Hannibal as his nickname was, apparently. He is a very, very bad dude. So this article is from the independent.com. It is from March actually of this year, 2025. So it's been 22 years since Jennifer Lynn Marcum, a 25-year-old mother, daughter, and sister from Denver, vanished into the abyss of American cold cases. As the years have gone by, the FBI says that investigators have never forgotten about her, and appeals for information on her whereabouts continue to this day. Her offender, quote, Hannibal, who is a lifelong con man and former FBI informant, known formally as Scott Campbell, 58, pleaded guilty to the homicides of Casey McLeod, 19, Leanne Emery, 24, Jennifer Marcum, 25, and his great uncle, Terry Campbell. And out of all those, the only person that has never been recovered is Jennifer. Investigators believe that Campbell could be responsible for the homicides of as many as 50 people, 50. A retired FBI agent, Jonathan Grusing, maintained in an interview with the Independent, quote, as long as Jennifer is missing, they will keep the case open. Grusing stopped working on Jennifer's case in 2021, having been misled by Campbell for years on the whereabouts of her body. So this Campbell guy, played law enforcement. He played the FBI. He was just like the ultimate, in my opinion, the ultimate psychopath, con man. So Campbell was found guilty of the homicides in addition to various check fraud charges in 2009. He is serving out his 70-year sentence at the high security a U.S. penitentiary in Florence, Colorado. And in 2018, Kimball pleaded guilty to plotting an escape from prison. So he began working with the FBI in 2000, informing on his fellow inmates while he was serving time for the check fraud charges. Kimball's crimes were often elaborate and especially cruel. The homicides began shortly after his release from federal prison on check fraud charges in 2002. And he was released because they wanted him to be an FBI informant. So he made contact with Leanne Emery, 24, who was the girlfriend of his friend from prison. In late 2002, the pair went on a check fraud spree across Utah and Colorado throughout early 2003. The pair grew close as Kimball used his position as an FBI informant to accuse Emery's boyfriend of plotting an escape plan, thus getting him thrown into solitary confinement and leaving him unable to contact her. So Leanne Emery, who also worked as a dancer, was later GSW'd by Kimball while they were hiking in Book Cliffs, Utah. Her remains were found in March of 2009. So shortly after Leanne Emery's death and just before Jennifer Marcum's disappearance, Kimball, while posing as an FBI agent, began dating and eventually marrying Casey McLeod's mother, Lori. So the two wed after Casey, who did struggle with addiction, had already vanished. He convinced his fiancée that her daughter was free to disappear and that she would eventually make contact. So he is also a master manipulator, in my opinion. So in reality, he had already abducted and taken her life. She was just 19 years old. So Kimball and Lori spent their honeymoon camping and off-roading. So how disgusting and just horrifying is this? So Scott Kimball and Lori spent their honeymoon camping and off-roading in an area where her daughter's body was buried and eventually found. So this guy took the mother of that had the daughter that he abducted and took the life of and buried out camping just not too far from where he buried her daughter's body. It's just So meanwhile, his Hannibal alias was used to get to Jennifer. While working as an informant, Kimball created a ruse to get to know her through her boyfriend and his former cellmate, Stephen Ennis. Jennifer was to help Kimball contact members of Ennis's substance gang in order for the group to begin eliminating witnesses. So I guess this is where it came in, where Kimball gave the story that supposedly Stephen had asked Jennifer to get a firearm and go to wherever it was to take out this witness in his case. So Grusing said, quote, Scott had told me that he took the lives of 21 people besides these four. He told his attorneys it was closer to 40 or 50. So describing the homicides of Casey, Leanne, and Terry, the investigators said Kimball was meticulous in avoiding being spotted at certain times of the day, avoiding surveillance cameras. He was careful with his DNA, and he took his victims to very remote places. He says, quote, you're not going to see Scott and Jennifer walk into a grocery store or anything like that on surveillance. So Grusing said an array of unidentifiable remains have been found in the Utah mountains since his conviction, and some of those may well be tied to Kimball. Grusing believes this. Despite his imprisonment, Kimball continues to be elusive regarding the locations of his victims' remains. In the initial search for Jennifer in 2003, detectives located her car parked at Denver International Airport. Grusing said quote, parking the car at the airport was a red herring. The airport is northeast, and he took her instead west. He goes on to say, if you ask today where we think she is, he first told the FBI agent handling him as an informant that she was near Rifle, Colorado. It's on the way to Utah and about 50 to 70 miles from where we were looking, in those canyons where he alleged that she was. So the FBI veteran said that Kimball's cell phone at the time pinged to a tower in Vernal, Utah, which is roughly 100 miles north of where investigators were originally searching. Kimball led investigators into twists and turns, taking them to a canyon spot just across the Utah-Colorado border. And Grusing said that she's somewhere in there, in his opinion. So Jennifer's phone shut off on February 17th, which is the same day that she visited Stephen Ennis in prison, and then she disappeared soon after that. Grusing revealed that the cold-blooded offender later told him that he had sedated Jennifer. During this period, Grusing said that Kimball deployed his, quote, uncanny and manipulative abilities to convince several law enforcement agencies that he was giving legitimate and truthful information on murder-for-hire cases. So none of the agents who handled or worked with Kimball are still with the agency, apparently. Grusing told The Independent the case of Jennifer became all too consuming, revealing that the offender would torment him with information that he framed as new in order to try to ensnare Grusing back to the case. Grusing said, quote, for the last 5 years of my career, Scott kept sending me new maps of where she might be, wanting me to come talk to him again, which I would at times, but each time he would change too many variables. The site he would say that she was at would make no sense, as they did not even exist, end quote. The Independent also spoke with Jennifer's father, Robert, on why his daughter's story remains relevant in 2025. He says, quote, Jennifer was a wonderful person. She was a happy-go-lucky type of person. She laughed a lot. It's just not right the way it is. He goes on to say, my family, my wife and I spent all the time trying to find our daughter in the end to help put this serial offender away, but yet my daughter is still missing and it should not be that way. So Robert disclosed that Kimball falsely promised that he would take him and the investigators to the location of Jennifer's remains so that she could be laid to rest. But the offender, Kimball, has never given the grieving family the exact location. Well, of course not. He's never going to, in my opinion. So her father says Jennifer should be buried somewhere in a coffin, not just thrown on the ground the way Scott left her. Absolutely. So the FBI Denver asked that anyone who may have information relating to Jennifer's case to call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Yeah, so this Scott Kimball guy's not a good guy, to put it mildly. It's crazy. It's just scares me to think that there's people like this that are out there that we may come in contact maybe on a daily basis, on a semi daily basis, and you would never know. You would never know. Unfortunately, there are people out there that it's terrifying. Oh, Miss Avery's back again. Welcome back, Miss Avery. Yeah, talking about Kimball. I know that Kimball. Oh. Well, Miss Miranda has been a member for 18 months. She says, Happy Thanksgiving, Southern Gal, True Crime and Friends. Same to you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being continuing to be a member. I'll get out in a minute. Appreciate you very much. Were you just reading about Scott Kimball? Miss Peggy says I was just reading about that guy. Yeah, Kimball's a sicko. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Miranda says there was a pregnant woman missing for 21 days here in Michigan. Her remains were found today. Excuse me. Sorry, we had sloppy joes for supper. Yeah, the baby was not with her. Yeah, I also saw that. That is horrifying. Um, Really. Avery says, talking about that case, it was weird that when she was found, her mother immediately jumped on TikTok about it. I don't think TikTok would be the first thing if my daughter, if I had a daughter, she was found in that condition and with no baby. Um, I would not be on TikTok about it. Yep. Avery says, I don't think I could function. Exactly. I don't think I could function after learning that about my child, much less get online. Yep, going back to Kimball, Avery says it's all a game to him. I know. Yeah, he literally played all the law enforcement, the FBI for years and years. And then he kept the one Grusing, the one that was doing or was commenting in that article I read. He said I would get away from him. There'd be no more leads. He wouldn't give any information, and all of a sudden he would call again or show up again. Oh, I have information. I have new information. This is where she's at, and it was nothing. Yeah, like you said, it was a game, all a game. Avery says, is he passed away now? I don't know. Let me look and see. I don't think it said, because that article was from 2025. Let me look and see. Hold on. Give me a minute. Oh, because I think actually there is a Wikipedia page on Scott Kimball. Um, Let me see if this is the right one. Oh shoot, I searched on the. No, I don't want. Hold on. Shoot. Oh my goodness, I can't type tonight. Yep, there he is. Let's see. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, now once again, it's Wikipedia. I guess he's still alive because usually they will say if he's if they'll give a birth date and a death date. It says Scott Lee Kimball is a convicted serial offender, con man, and fraudster from Boulder County, Colorado, who took the lives of at least 4 people over a 2-year period. Investigators strongly suspect him in as many as 21 other unsolved homicides. For the first year of his homicide activity, he worked as an informant for the FBI, which both paid him and protected him from facing justice over some of his fraud schemes. It says almost none of the information he gave the Bureau was of any use in prosecuting other crimes. Surprise, surprise. Later was proved to be false. The case greatly embarrassed the FBI. Well, I would think so. Says the agent who oversaw him during this period was disciplined. He insists he was not the only one responsible for enabling Kimball. Oh, no, I do not want to give any money to you. Yeah, he was not a good fella, but apparently he's still alive. No, Paula, thankfully he is in prison now, as far as we know. Or he got a 70-year sentence. So I'm assuming he is still in prison. Uh, Let me see. Yeah, we could do a whole live stream on just him. So it does say here on Wikipedia that Lori McLeod, who was the mother of Casey McLeod, who Kimball abducted and took the life of, had her marriage to Kimball annulled in 2008. At his sentencing, she said that she felt Casey had forgiven him, and thus she was also willing to forgive him. Really? Oh my God. Kimball has since remarried to a woman similarly incarcerated in a Kansas prison for crimes against children. Wow. They've never met physically. Let's see. Says early in 2011, Kimball reportedly wrote a lengthy handwritten letter to his family describing in greater detail the deaths of all four of his victims. His accounts are slightly different from those he had previously given. Well, of course they are. The FBI also received a copy. Says he took responsibility for Emery's death, which had previously been attributed to someone else. Let's see. Just looking for any. So it says as of July 2023, he has been moved back to the Colorado, to the United States Penitentiary in Florence, Colorado. So as of 2023, I'm assuming that he's still there because he had a 70-year sentence. Yep, me too. Avery says, I wish he would just tell where she is. Yeah, but he's never going to. I mean, that's just we all know how these serial offenders, alleged psychopaths are. It's a game. They're never going to tell, unfortunately. Thank you, Junior. Junior says, I'm heading to bed. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, Dawn, and everyone. You too, my friend. Absolutely. Junior says he's going to Kentucky for Thanksgiving. Yes, safe travels, Junior. Absolutely. All right, let me see who we have next. Next we have, I think this is our last one. This is Richard Glenn Beebe. Let me get his information. So Mr. Beebe has been missing since July 7th, 2013 from Denver. He is a white male. He was 74 years old when he went missing. He'll be 87 years old as of 2025. When he went missing, he was 5'10" tall, 185 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. He was taking medication at the time of his disappearance for unspecified reasons, and his medicine was left behind. So Mr. Beebe was last seen in Denver on July 7th, 2013. His roommate stated that the roommate insisted that Richard move out of their residence, and he did so, but he left behind all of his belongings, including his medication, his laptop, clothes, and cell phone. His green Buick was found abandoned in a parking lot at the intersection of Florida and Holly less than a week later. Richard has not withdrawn any money from his bank account since he went missing. His family got a goodbye text from his phone saying that he had met someone and was going to Arizona and would not be returning. They do not believe that he sent the text, however, because it was not in his usual writing style. Authorities believe that Richard may have been the victim of a homicide, and his case remains unsolved. So anyone with information is asked to contact the Denver PD at 720-913-6911. So there's not a whole lot of information. I did find one article about this text. It says that an offender may have sent text from missing man's phone. And this article is from August of 2014. A Sunday night church service for Dignity Denver in July marked a grim anniversary for the congregation. One of their members, Richard Beebe, disappeared 1 year ago. This last public sighting was a dinner with fellow churchgoers after a Sunday night service on July 14th, 2013. His son, Michael Beebe, said, quote, he liked to dance, he liked to go to the theater, he liked to spend time with friends and family. Denver Police Detective Aaron Lopez says that he hopes new information from the public, will lead to a break in the case. He says there's been no evidence indicating that Richard is alive, but no one has found his body either. Lopez says, quote, we fear he is deceased and we have evidence to believe foul play is involved, end quote. So, of course, I'm sure they're not going to give out the reasons for their belief that there was foul play. So Richard and his ex-wife Judy had remained close since they divorced decades ago, but she says he never texted her on the phone. That's just one of several reasons why she was suspicious when she got a message from Richard's phone saying that he met someone and was leaving for Arizona. Judy said, quote, it doesn't sound like Richard. It was perfectly typed, perfectly punctuated, and perfectly spelled, which was not his style, end quote. She added, he closed it, love to you and Michael. She said that was also strange. So his nickname was Dick. So Dick is a nickname, or, a nickname for Richard. So he signed it, love to you and Michael, Dick. And she said that was also strange because she said she had always called him Richard. She had never been called him by this shorter name. Michael, the son, says this text did not come from my dad. Sorry, it's jumping around here. So Michael says he believes that the offender faked the text. So the family says Richard did not withdraw money from his bank accounts in the last year. Relatives also say Richard did not take items that he would have typically taken on a vacation, which was his cell phone, medication, laptop, and clothes that were all left behind at his home in Southeast Denver, which he shared with a roommate. This roommate, and I don't know why I don't know if they got into an argument or what went on to make the roommate want Richard to move out. So Judy said that she contacted the roommate, John Vigil, through email. She says, quote, the roommate said he had insisted that Richard leave the house. Okay, so because he did not want to put up with the behavior that he was accusing Richard of, and we knew Richard was the one paying the rent, end quote. So apparently, maybe, according to the roommate, Richard had some kind of behavior, or according to him, he was accusing Richard of some kind of behavior. So Richard's green Buick was found abandoned less than a week after the disappearance in the parking lot at the intersection of Florida and Hawley. Once again, if you have any information about Richard's disappearance or death, contact Metro Denver Crime Stoppers at 720-913-STOP. So I think I had Web Sluice. There may have been something on there. Let me see. Okay, so that was from the same thing article. It was something about the text, the exact wording of the text. So someone posted on Web Sluice, there must have been very little news coverage on this. Although I do not know him, I live in his neighborhood, and I've never even heard of this case. That's just so sad. Lived in the same neighborhood and didn't even know. They say so much time has passed. I doubt I could recall anything from that time last summer. Very sad. I know it had somebody put the text in here. So someone also pointed out a poster on Websleuths that the text said "Love to you and Michael," who was apparently their son. So this poster says so he either knew the kid's name or perhaps saw his name in a previous text. So I thought that was a little, yeah, good point. Absolutely good point. Okay, so somebody, because somewhere it had a screenshot, somebody posted it, I can't remember what it was, an actual screenshot of the actual text. So somebody put it here in a, or wrote it, typed it out how it was sent. And it said, met someone going to Arizona forever. Love to you and Michael, Dick. So that's the text. He says, yeah, I just wrote it out in the text to get the flow. Definitely hinky, especially when he says forever and why Arizona, random choice for a red herring. Possible. Somebody else says that text seems really fake. Who says, well, I'm leaving forever. Bye now. Nobody. Yeah, why would he say I'm leaving forever? I mean, you just say, hey, I'm leaving. Um, so somebody, and I don't know if it mentioned it, but somebody says on Websleuth says, wow, and the phone was found in the house, and the roommate told Richard to leave because some kind of quote behavior. According to the article, how much did they check out his roommate? See, I was wondering that too. Did it say in that article that it was found in the house? Hold on, I'll go back to it. Yeah, but that said he left everything behind. Yeah, he left. Yeah, it said he left everything behind: cell phone, laptop, medication, clothes. Yeah, I mean, if somebody goes voluntarily, they're not going to leave all that behind. You're going to take your phone. You're going to take your meds. You're going to take clothes, definitely, unless you plan on buying some more wherever you're going, which is possible. But I mean, I'm always suspicious, obviously, when somebody goes missing and just doesn't take anything with them. I think that was all I had. Let me check one more time just to make sure. Yep, that was all I had. Okay, let me get caught up in comments. Um, that's all right. Miss Z said, "Sorry guys, I'm working and lurking." You're fine, Miss Z. You're fine, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Thank you everybody for being here. I think that was, yep, that was our last one. So anybody have any other questions, comments, thoughts, anything else? Hey, we did good. We're only 2.5 hours. We're good. Oh, so do we want to? What was the girl's name that they found without the baby? Somebody remind me. I'm trying to scroll back through chat, but I can only scroll back so far. Um, what was her name? What was her name? I don't know if I can scroll back that far because we mentioned it kind of when we started. Was it Rebecca Parks? Hold on. Um, so all these articles are coming up. When was she found? Because these articles, uh, maybe from before she was found. Yep. So this says the Wexford. Let me know if I have the right name. Let's see, that's 6 days ago. Anyway, I'll try to find some information on that. Because let's see, I should be able to do a live stream Friday night, so that the day after Thanksgiving, duh. It'll probably be just a fun one. We may do one of our mysteries and conspiracies. I was thinking about doing some of, I don't know if any of you guys just get and look up celebrity conspiracy theories just for fun or whatever. There's some crazy ones out there. They're actually kind of funny. Now there are some very, very dark ones that are out there too. But there's just some really, I don't know where people come up with some of these conspiracy theories. So if that's something, and then it'll be, open chat. We can talk about anything. If you want to talk about any kind of conspiracies, I'll just get a slideshow together, and it's just a free for all on those kind. So if any of y'all would be interested in that, we can do that Friday. Kind of unwind from Thanksgiving and take a little bit of a break from true crime again, because it's been a couple of weeks since we've done a non-true crime live stream. But anyway, it'll be at our usual time, probably 8:30 or so. You are welcome. Thank you, Miss Farr. She says, thank you, Southern Gal, great live. I was listening. Thank you, mods. Absolutely. Chat. Have a good night all and stay safe. Absolutely. All right. So if nobody has anything else, we will get out of here for the night. Ooh, it's already 2 minutes after 11. Hey, we did good though. Like I said, it was 2.5 hours. But I cut down, because when I first started looking for cases, I think I had 8 or 9 cases bookmarked. So I cut it down to 6. So anyway, thank you, Black Knight, for being here. Well, I hit the wrong one. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Miss Peggy. I appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who was here. Thank you, Mustang. Appreciate you always. All right, guys. So if nobody's got anything else, we will sign off for the night. Once again, probably Friday night, we'll just do something fun, little mysteries, conspiracies, whatever else we can get into. So everybody have a good rest of your week. Have a good Thanksgiving. Be careful out there, as always. Just don't be scared. Just be aware. Always be aware of your surroundings. I love you guys. Thank you to everybody who's in chat. Thank you to everybody who was lurking. Thank you if you're watching replay. Thank you so much. We love our replay crew. You guys are awesome. So I will quit babbling now. As always, I'm going to leave you with the fur babies. And I will hopefully see you guys Friday night. Thanks, guys.